Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News, ladies and gentlemen. And the biggest story today, whether it was relevant or not, was Meryl Streep and her little performance at the Golden Globes last night. So we're going to start off this segment making fun of Meryl Streep and the utter failure that was her speech. But it is worth mentioning 2017 Golden Globes review, Jimmy Fallon flounders as host on a dull show. Now, my response to this is, it's got to be tough for Fallon. Everybody knows now how pathetic this lot of people are that were at this event. And they now know, the people there, that they know that people don't care what they think. That's why we elected Trump. So you've got this whole glamour event, glitz and glamour for all these special people that everyone is supposed to bow down to and praise. Except wait, we don't care. So it must have been a tough act for Fallon, but apparently it was dull. I don't know. I didn't watch it. So perhaps maybe they should be thanking Meryl Streep. If she didn't make that absolutely pathetic speech, nobody would be talking about the Golden Globes last night. But she did, and Donald Trump, of course, has responded. He's responded on Twitter. He says that he is not surprised by Meryl Streep's Golden Globes speech. And again, I mentioned this earlier on the Alex Jones show, but it's worth mentioning again. This woman could have gone up there and raised awareness. She could have talked about the victims of terror attacks that have been happening. She could have talked about the kidnapping victim that was also mentally challenged. She wants to knock Trump about the mentally challenged thing, which is totally taken out of context. Well, she could have stood up for the mentally challenged victim of a kidnapping and torture. But instead, this totally selfish woman who just wants attention on herself decided she was going to take that podium to talk about Donald Trump. Don't worry about thanking all of the people that put you in the position to receive that prestigious award. No. Put them behind you. Who cares about them? You're Meryl Streep. Everybody wants to hear about what you think about Donald Trump. Now, I have to give credit to somebody shocking here, but Piers Morgan wrote a little op-ed for Daily Mail. Headline, "Sorry, Meryl, but that hypocritical anti-Trump rant was easily the worst performance of your career." And then the subheadline, "Apart from a time you gave a child rapist a standing ovation." Oh, that's right. Piers Morgan? My gosh. At the 2003 Oscars, Meryl Streep leapt to her feet and gave child rapist Roman Polanski a standing ovation. He wished he could have been there, but unfortunately, he would have been arrested had he made that event. But Meryl Streep, boy, she wanted to make sure that she stood and applauded loudly for the child rapist Roman Polanski. So good job there, Meryl Streep. But you know what? I guess that makes sense. You supported Hillary Clinton, who also defended a child rapist and, in fact, made sure a child rapist was able to get off scot-free. So that's nice, Meryl Streep. I hope that makes you sleep well at night. Now, Camille Paglia has also written an op-ed, "How to Age Disgracefully in Hollywood." Well, you could dress like Madonna with your breasts on display at the age of 50. Absolutely disgusting. Or you could go the Meryl Streep route and decide to politicize everything. And when you get awarded a great honor, you just go ahead and embarrass yourself. And you decide to take that podium to insult and politicize the entire event. But, we are seeing how to age disgracefully here with the Clintons. Honestly, you want to talk about aging disgracefully or just not being able to accept defeat, you would really want to look at the Democrats and people like John McCain, John Kerry, the Obamas, the Clintons. These are the people that don't know how to age gracefully or accept defeat gracefully. They really have made themselves look like petulant little children. And Meryl Streep now takes the cake on that. Now, if you were watching NFL football yesterday with the hundreds of millions of people around the world that were, you probably saw a ABC ad for their new show, Blackish. Now, I happened to see this. And the ad, it's a promo ad for their TV show, Blackish. And they have that woman on talking to some other black people around what appears to be a dinner table or something. And she says, of course, they're politicizing the conversation around the dinner table. And she says, "Oh, I voted for Trump." And all the black people around the dinner table get all upset and make a big deal of it. Wanda Sykes is actually in the scene as well, kicking and screaming. Wanda Sykes actually may have said she was going to leave the country if Trump won. I'm going to have to double check that. But I think that Wanda Sykes might be needing to catch a plane to Canada. But you know what? Here's what I'll say. Even though it was obvious that they took the shot at Donald Trump and they used the whole politicized, polarized culture that we're in right now with the election, I don't know if they were trolling people to get them to watch or they were trying to make anti-Trump propaganda, but that was the promo that they ran, saying a white girl saying, "I voted for Trump," and then a bunch of black people getting upset about it. But I'll withhold judgment. Maybe it was just the ultimate troll. There's the ad right there. There's Wanda Sykes. I told you she was kicking and screaming. I don't make this stuff up, folks. But there it is. Y'all, I voted for Trump, and then they all get upset like it's some sort of a big deal. But again, you know what? Maybe this is just a troll. Maybe they just trolled everybody and they just wanted to increase ratings. The show looks a little funny, I'm not going to lie, but they did want to run the anti-Trump propaganda while the hundreds of million of Americans were watching football. And of course, Al Sharpton has to get involved. Al Sharpton promises a season of civil disobedience in response to the Sessions nomination. They're going really hard off Sessions. You know, the Trump camp is not too happy about the attacks on Sessions. What Sharpton said, we're not just doing this to be doing it. We do it because it can lead to change. And believe me, there will be a season of civil disobedience, particularly around the Sessions nomination. Okay, Al Sharpton, you're not just going to be doing it to be doing it. It's going to lead to change. Really, what kind of change is that? What kind of change have we seen? So, folks, before I move on to the rest here, so I just went through this stack of news of people politicizing Trump and, of course, wanting to cast this shadow on Donald Trump that he's a racist or that if you're black, you shouldn't like Donald Trump. They're continuing to do this, even though we just had a mentally challenged young man kidnapped and tortured over the course of 2 days in a polarized and racially charged event. It's really sad to me that this can go on and that you're still going to have people like Al Sharpton and Meryl Streep continue to foment this divide in our country, continue to foment the tensions that have been so polarized and politicized over the course of the last couple years and really the last 8 years under Barack Obama. But these people like Al Sharpton and Meryl Streep are so pathetic that even in the face of an innocent man being kidnapped and tortured, and then it comes out a politically and racially charged event, they're still going to sit here and foment and try to throw oil on that fire. I truly cannot believe that these people have gone that low. What is your problem, Meryl Streep? What is your problem, Al Sharpton? Are you guys really trying to foment anger and civil war in this country, or are you just that stupid? That's what I'd like to know, because there's no other way around this. Especially if you're going to sit here and claim that, you know, you care about people. You care. Meryl Streep, I care about the mentally challenged person that Trump was making fun of, even though that didn't happen. Well, where are you on the Chicago kidnapping? And if you don't think for 1 second your rhetoric and your little speech that you gave at the Golden Globes isn't going to add to those tensions, well, you really are as dumb as you look. Speaking of looking dumb, this is the latest thing from Magic Wand Land. Obama said, I don't know what type of magic wand Trump's going to wave. Well, Trump waved it again. Alibaba job boom. Jack Ma chats with Trump about how to create 1 million U.S. jobs over 5 years. President-elect Donald Trump said he had a great meeting with the Alibaba executive chairman on Monday when they discussed 1 million new U.S. jobs. This is what the chairman said. We're focused on small business. We specifically talked about supporting 1 million small businesses, especially in the Midwest of America, where Trump dominated. Small businesses on the platform of selling products, agriculture products, and America services to China and Asia. Because we're big in Asia, Alibaba will create 1 million U.S. jobs by enabling 1 million American small businesses and farmers to sell American goods to China and Asian consumers on the Alibaba platform. So how do you like that? Wow, I don't know. Is Donald Trump a character from Harry Potter? I don't know how. Where did he get this magic wand? Barack Obama needs to send in his crack investigative team with the FBI and the CIA to figure this out. They figured out the Russian hacking scandal. That's how Hillary lost. Maybe they can figure out what type of magic wand Donald Trump has. Obama might need to use that to save his legacy. But he waves it again. Fiat to invest $1 billion in Michigan, Ohio plants, creating 2,000 jobs. The U.S. arm of the automaker Fiat Chrysler announced on Sunday it would invest a total of $1 billion in Michigan and Ohio, adding 2,000 jobs to the United States. The announcement, in what the economy said was the second phase of a plan it first made public a year ago, came days after the Ford Motor Company, this is another Trump magic wand, the Ford Motor Company decided to scrap a plan to build its factory in Mexico, instead opening it in Michigan. So Trump continues to wave that magic wand. You know, it's actually amazing because you can actually kind of monitor everything that Trump is doing. They have the camera right there at Trump Tower. You can pretty much figure out who he's meeting with every day. So it's a pretty transparent thing here. And let's remember, Obama said that the economy would be the #1 thing to measure whether his presidency was a success. Now, obviously, he would actually probably prefer it that way. He doesn't want you to look at racial tensions. He doesn't want you to look at the debt. He doesn't want you to look at foreign affairs. He doesn't want you to look at anything like that, terrorist attacks. He'll point to the numbers in the economy that support him. But more Americans are now on food stamps than they were when Obama took office, and Americans out of the labor force has just entered an all-time high. So you can use these stats to push whatever point or whatever argument you want to make. But those are the facts. And the fact is, Obama, that Trump doesn't have a magic wand. He's just actually working really hard and meeting with people who aren't just politicians in order to create business opportunities in the United States. And he's also going to get some of those regulations to make it easier for small businesses to operate, and not to mention all the tax cuts that are going to make it easier for entrepreneurs. Now, we had the huge hearing about the Russian hacking scandal, but somehow this didn't manage to get mentioned. Someone is trying to take down the Drudge Report, and it's a mystery who's behind it. The Drudge Report, the most highly trafficked conservative news website possibly in the world, has been knocked offline for extended periods during the past 2 weeks. And Matt Drudge is saying that this is a DDoS attack. He said it multiple times. This is something that's happened to InfoWars. This is something we've been warned about. And this is happening at really unprecedented levels as far as the number that is coming in on these DDoS attacks. But again, this is not mentioned in the hearings. And the entire time they wanted to remind you, this is not a partisan issue. This is a bipartisan thing. We're just trying to make it safe for Americans to operate. We don't want people hacking. Well, then how come no mention of the record DDoS attacks that Drudge has come under multiple times, and even here at InfoWars? How come no mention of that? Aren't we citizens? I thought you cared about us. You didn't want us to be hacked. No, you're just trying to make up excuses why Hillary Clinton lost the election, and you don't want to admit it's by your own flaws and just the pathetic nature of the campaign that she ran. When they go low, we go high. I'll tell you what's getting higher. Venezuela's minimum wage just got brought up for the 5th time in a calendar year. Venezuela's socialist president Maduro announced on Sunday a 50% hike in the minimum wage and pensions, the 5th increase over the last year to help shield workers from the world's highest inflation rate. So here you go, folks. You want your socialism? You want your high minimum wage? Go ahead and take a look at what's going on in Venezuela right now, and then you tell me if you still want that minimum wage and that socialism. Of course, they'll say, oh, well, this is just one case. We don't have to be like Venezuela. Well, do a study of socialism and see how it goes most of the time. But, hey, maybe that's what you're into. Maybe you're into hyperinflation. Maybe you're into minimum wage driving the economy down and people starving on the street, having to turn over trucks and eat the food off of the truck. Maybe that's what you're into if you're a socialist, apparently. Hillary Clinton receives ovation at the color purple. There was so much irony in this. I don't even know if I can properly cover it. Hillary Clinton, who has kept a relatively low public profile since losing the presidential election, showed up to the final performance of the color purple, reveling in the story of a beleaguered woman who triumphs over the oppressive men in her life. Now, of course, this is a story about a woman who is able to overcome all this oppression, and it's people cheering Hillary Clinton, one of the most racist people. I mean, folks, she called black people super predators. She's friends with Robert Byrd. I don't need to go down the history. You know it. But she receives standing ovations from the crowd of the color purple on Broadway. Now, let's recall when Mike Pence went to a Broadway show, they called him out and jeered and scorned him. But here you go. The crowd chanted, "We love you, Hillary." Unbelievable. So Hillary Clinton's color revolution with the color purple goes on as planned. Gun shares fall as anti-Second Amendment threat fades. Now, I did a story last week about how Obama was the best gun salesman in the history of America, how gun sales have increased just nonstop, basically. Every year Obama's been in office, but now the shares are down. Guess what? You don't threaten to take people's guns. They stop buying them like they're going out of style. It's amazing how that works. Obama, you keep telling us not to elect Trump. We go ahead and elect Trump. So that's just what you got. More coming up on the InfoWars Nightly News on the other side.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to InfoWars.com/app and download today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You'll have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at InfoWars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.
Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News, ladies and gentlemen. And the biggest story today, whether it was relevant or not, was Meryl Streep and her little performance at the Golden Globes last night. So we're going to start off this segment making fun of Meryl Streep and the utter failure that was her speech. But it is worth mentioning, 2017 Golden Globes review, Jimmy Fallon flounders as host on a dull show. Now, my response to this is, it's got to be tough for Fallon. Everybody knows now how pathetic this lot of people are that were at this event. And they now know, the people there, that they know that people don't care what they think. That's why we elected Trump. So you've got this whole glamour event, glitz and glamour for all these special people that everyone is supposed to bow down to and praise. Except wait, we don't care. So it must have been a tough act for Fallon, but apparently it was dull. I don't know. I didn't watch it. So perhaps maybe they should be thanking Meryl Streep. If she didn't make that absolutely pathetic speech, nobody would be talking about the Golden Globes last night. But she did, and Donald Trump, of course, has responded. He's responded on Twitter. He says that he is not surprised by Meryl Streep's Golden Globes speech. And again, I mentioned this earlier on the Alex Jones show, but it's worth mentioning again. This woman could have gone up there and raised awareness. She could have talked about the victims of terror attacks that have been happening. She could have talked about the kidnapping victim that was also mentally challenged. She wants to knock Trump about the mentally challenged thing, which is totally taken out of context. Well, she could have stood up for the mentally challenged victim of a kidnapping and torture. But instead, this totally selfish woman who just wants attention on herself decided she was going to take that podium to talk about Donald Trump. Don't worry about thanking all of the people that put you in the position to receive that prestigious award. No. Put them behind you. Who cares about them? You're Meryl Streep. Everybody wants to hear about what you think about Donald Trump. Now, I have to give credit to somebody shocking here, but Piers Morgan wrote a little op-ed for Daily Mail. Headline, "Sorry, Meryl, but that hypocritical anti-Trump rant was easily the worst performance of your career." And then the subheadline, "Apart from a time you gave a child rapist a